Hey there, health lovers. Welcome to The Scoop, where we serve you straight nutrition talk, one scoop at a time. I'm Rachel. I'm a dietitian. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of two busy boys, and I am a big fan of making small, healthy changes that can lead to big results. So grab your coffee, your water bottle, or even your afternoon snack and settle in. We're about to dive into today's scoop. And trust me, these simple tips are going to make healthy living feel a whole lot easier. Let's get started. Any and all opinions and views shared by hosts and guests on this podcast are the speaker's own and do not represent the views of Live It Up or its affiliates or parent company. Hey guys, welcome back to The Scoop, serving straight nutrition talk, one scoop at a time. I am Rachel, your host, and today we're going to talk about micro habits for better digestion, and we're going to focus on small changes in fiber for big gut health benefits. All right, so your gut health plays a crucial role in how you feel every day and in your long-term health. So what if we could improve it with just one small habit? That's what we're going to focus on. Research is finding that our gut microbiome plays a much larger role in our overall health than previously thought. And the gut doesn't just keep to itself, right? It actually communicates with the brain via several of the nervous systems, the central nervous system, the enteric nervous system, and also the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis, the HPA. That one took me a while to remember. This whole system is called the gut-brain axis. And these interactions work through the gut microbiota. They link our emotional and our cognitive centers with our intestinal functions and mechanism. It blows my mind, the amount that our gut can actually impact how we feel, and how we feel impacts our gut. It just, when you think about it, makes so much sense. So keeping our gut healthy is linked not only with digestion and regularity, but also with our immune system, with inflammation, with cardiovascular disease, our weight, and even our mood. And it's super exciting to have this field right now. It has such big health implications. So I wanted to touch on a few of those micro habits that you can start doing today to help increase the health of your microbiome. Because the role of your diet, it's inextricably linked with the vibrancy of your gut. So first is fiber and resistant starch. We're going to focus on these today because I love them. These are the primary powerhouses for your gut. The primary difference between these two is that all resistant starch is fiber, but not all fiber is resistant starch. I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to see if I can keep it top line and quick because you know I like to talk about nutrition. Now, there are three primary types of carbohydrates. There is sugar, there is fiber, and there is starch. These are your three types. Now, sugar is the simplest form. It breaks down quickly, it increases your blood sugar quickly, and generally, it's the type of carbohydrate that we want to reduce the most in the diet. Fiber is the type of complex carbohydrate we can't digest. You find it in the strong cell walls of a plant. Some of the most common forms that we consume are things like hemicellulose, cellulose, pectin. These are all found in plants and we cannot digest them. But since we don't digest them, they don't contribute to our calories, but they are fermented by the bacteria in our gut and they form really beneficial short-chain fatty acids. All right, the third one is starch. And this is also a complex carbohydrate, just like fiber, but we can digest and absorb it for energy. So you can find starches in vegetables, in fruits, in beans, and legumes, just like fiber. But it's also the energy-containing part of cereal grains like flour, bread, and oats. Now, resistant starch is the only type of starch that cannot be broken down and absorbed by the body. It's like fiber. So in like fiber, it's fermented into valuable metabolites, the short-chain fatty acids. Okay, So now you have a general sense of where we're getting fiber and resistant starch. Let's talk about resistant starch. There are 4 types of resistant starch. I would talk about all of them, but the bottom line is that you can find them in things like green bananas. You can find them in Jerusalem artichokes. You can find them in raw potato or raw potato starch. You can find it in beans and legumes, vegetables locked into the fibrous cell wall, and also in starches that have been cooked and then cooled. So things like you cook some rice or potatoes or oats, and then you cool it down. What happens is this is called retrograde starch. And these starches, when you heat the starch, it actually deforms the starch molecules and makes it so that our body can't break them down. And that makes the resistant starch, right? Then we can't break it down. And so it's not contributing, calories. The good news is that when you reheat these foods, the resistant starch stays there. So you can heat up some rice and you can have it the next day and you're not going to lose that benefit of resistant starch. Or you can, make any of those foods. Like I want to give you an example for oats because I love oats, and I want you to think about like when you make oatmeal and you let it sit there and it forms that like weird gelatinous cover on the top of it. That's resistant starch. Okay. So like, that's good for you. Keep it in there. Let's get back to short chain fatty acids. These compounds plus fiber and resistant starch, it's these that we want to boost in our gut because they all play a huge role in our gut health, So here are a few of the important roles that they play in the body. So the first one is digestion. Short chain fatty acids are the preferred fuel of your intestinal cells. They help keep your gut cells healthy and happy and digesting their best. The next one is immunity. So keeping the intestinal cells healthy is important because it helps them maintain a tighter knit community, which makes it harder for harmful microbes to slip through them and into the bloodstream. Appetite and insulin regulation. So short chain fatty acids also upregulate the gut peptides such as glucagon-like peptide 1. Yes, that's GLP-1 that you've been hearing about. It also upregulates peptide YY, so PYY, which helps to regulate appetite, glucose, and insulin. They also act on several receptors, including GPR41, which actually influences an increased calorie burn. So it's really interesting how these short chain fatty acids play a role in the gut because they are really helping in terms of how our body reacts to the foods that we're eating. Now, resistant starch and fiber also are considered prebiotics because they feed the good bacteria in our gut. This helps bolster our microbiome community. And it helps, like, once this community gets bigger, it helps to push out those bad bacteria that can cause more issues. All right. So you get it, that the bottom line is that fiber is fabulous. And let's talk about how much you need. So women should be getting around 25 grams per day, and men should be getting around 38 grams per day. If you're on the low side, you have to really start slow. So too much fiber added in at once can actually cause constipation, and that is no bueno, right? So not only is it important to slowly increase your fiber, but increase water at the same time. This is critical. This is going to help you digest better, absorb nutrients more efficiently. It's also going to help prevent constipation as you increase fiber. All right. So before we jump into making this a micro habit, let's talk about how getting more in your day is important. Like, let's talk about how we can get more in your day. So for fiber, we want to think about plants, right? That's where we're getting our fiber from. Things like vegetables, fruits, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds. Having all these daily or consistently throughout our week, added in there maybe a couple days a week. This is important. Now, vegetables and fruit I want you to eat every day, but things like beans and legumes, you don't have to eat every day. You can kind of sprinkle those into your week. Now, how can you add more resistant starch? Let me give you some easy ways to help make that happen. So first, I want you to buy your bananas a little on the green side. Green bananas have more resistant starch. And the problem is as the banana ripens, as it matures, the resistant starch breaks down. So once you have a green banana, there's no resistant starch in it. So they have to be a little bit green to get the benefit. You don't have to get one that's totally green. Those are really hard. But if you get one that's a little green on the ends, that's the goal. Okay, the second thing you can do is batch cook your oatmeal as part of your breakfast for the week. Remember, we talked about breakfast and how to get that going. So what you can do is cook a few servings of rolled oats, add some cinnamon, some water, or your milk of choice. You know, do a little drizzle of honey or maple syrup if you want. You can add some vanilla extract. And you can sprinkle in some chopped nuts, or you can wait and you can sprinkle the chopped nuts later. So once you've cooked your oats, pour it into a baking dish. I want you to cover it, let it cool, make sure it's refrigerated, and then take out a piece. When, if you want it as a snack, if you want it as part of your breakfast, and reheat it, add a little bit of water or a little extra milk to help with the consistency. I want you to throw in some fruit. And there you go. That's how you can get some resistant starch through oats. You could also batch cook potatoes, like sweet potatoes. You can batch cook barley. Don't get pearled barley. Pearled barley has the really amazing outer shell taken off of it, which means it's a refined grain. So get regular barley. You can also batch cook rice. All three of these, if you cook a big pot of them and you let them cool and keep them in the fridge and then you reheat them, they will have resistant starch. So now we are doubly meal prepping and getting resistant starch. It's a twofer, you just have to do it. Making these ahead of time, it's going to boost their nutrition. It's also going to save you time. Make sure you're refrigerating them. Don't let them sit out on the counter. That is not good in terms of like bacteria count and, it's just out of the safety zone. So make sure you refrigerate. Now, you could also eat cooked beans twice a week. Beans are a nutrient-packed food. They have a lot of resistant starch. They have even more when they're raw, but please don't eat raw beans. You will hurt your stomach. They still have resistant starch when they're cooked as well. You can throw beans into salads, into your whole grains, into soups, into casseroles. You can season them and have them as your vegetarian protein source a couple times a week. You could make a bean bowl, so you get some beans and some whole grains, and you top it with cilantro and fresh chopped tomatoes and bell pepper and avocado, and you drizzle some delicious olive oil and you season it up, and it's fabulous. It's one of my favorites. So now you know how to bring it into your diet. Let's make it a micro habit. So this was a lot of information, but remember, we want to make small changes that will build into great long-term health benefits. So choose one thing that you can start doing today that can help build up your gut health. Will you choose to add in one more vegetable per week? Will you try to have vegetables with every dinner? Will you find a beans or legume recipe that you enjoy and you have it once per week? Maybe you can build on another micro habit that you have been forming. For example, if you started to focus on breakfast, like I said before, you could batch cook those oats for the week, build upon that breakfast micro habit. That's what these micro habits are all about, right? Taking bite-sized incremental steps, making them a habit, and building upon them. Every day is a new chance to make a difference. It's never too late. Once you feel great about a new habit, don't just let it lie, right? Add another one in. So tell me, what fiber-focused micro habit will you be starting today? Let me know in our no judgment zone below. Everyone's opinion about everyone's goal about what they want to do. That's what we want to talk about. So tell me about your fiber goals. Make it happen.